What is up, guys? Welcome back to another GeekaWhat video, and today I've got just an insane gaming PC build for you, featuring the RTX 2080 Ti and Intel's latest Z390 CPUs. Buckle up, because this one is a little bit special. Without any further ado, let's dive straight into it, cover the parts and performance and all that good stuff. Today's video was made possible by SCDkey, a great place to source game and software keys for a load of platforms including Steam, Origin, Uplay and prepaid PSN and Xbox cards. Pick up a copy of Windows 10 and use the code GeekaWhat at checkout for an exclusive 10% discount. Get started at the links in the description below. This frankly ridiculous build is poised towards 4K gaming at 60 frames per second at high and ultra settings in the latest AAA titles. I played a little bit of Call of Duty's Black Ops 4 Zombies just to test this thing out, and 3 hours later I was duly impressed. Whether you scroll then back down to the slightly easier to run games, your Fortnite, World of Warcraft, League of Legends, CSGO, you're going to be seeing in excess of 100 frames per second at 4K, which is just completely and utterly bonkers. I've actually been testing this system on this snazzy monitor that Iyama kindly sent over, and I'll link this in the description below, this 4K panel, alongside all my recommended peripherals for this build, if you'd also like to pick those up. Now though, let's look at the parts I selected and why, and kick it off as always with the CPU. For the CPU in this build, I selected the Intel Core i7-9700K. Now this CPU's got a really fast base clock speed of 3.6 GHz with a boost speed of, wait for it, 4.9 GHz. That's a crazy fast speed, and in excess of 5 GHz overclocks are more than easily achievable on this unlocked CPU. You do have a couple of options with this CPU. You can drop down to the i5 to save a bit of money, but let's be real, I mean, have you seen the price of this build? And equally, if you want some more productivity performance, the i9 is a really good choice. PC Centric actually did a great video with a similar build, but swapped out the i7 for the i9, and you can check that out for performance and stuff in the card section here. Now, whilst you do only get 8 cores and 8 threads as opposed to the 8 cores and 16 threads found on the top end Ryzen 7 chips, this is still going to be the best gaming CPU at the real top end of the market, and that's because of that completely ridiculous single-threaded performance side. Now, going for a CPU this powerful with a 95 watt TDP does prevent some problems. You aren't going to be using a stock cooler with this CPU. In fact, you don't even get one in the box. For the cooler, I selected Cooler Master's brand new ML360R. This is one of the latest additions to Cooler Master's all-in-one liquid cooling lineup, and it's been received incredibly well by both tech journalists and YouTubers, and also the community. 360mm radiators not only look good, they help your system to remain quiet with lower fan RPMs possible, and also give further overclocking legroom. I reviewed the slightly smaller version, the ML240R, which you can find in the card section here. You get Cooler Master's addressable RGB fans, the 120mm versions, included as standard, as well as an addressable RGB zone on the CPU block itself. Furthermore, this uses the universal 3-pin addressable RGB standard, which allows you to sync it up with the MSI motherboard and graphics card we've selected in this build. For the motherboard in this build, I selected a brand new unit from MSI. This is their MPG Z390 Gaming Edge AC, with a really fully fledged feature set including Wi-Fi, USB 3.1 Gen 2 header for the Type-C port on the case, good RAM and CPU overclocking support with beefy VRMs, 4 RAM DIMM slots, SLI, Crossfire, dual M.2 slots. It really covers the bases nicely, with a nice and conclusive and thorough rear I/O to boot. Alongside that beefy feature set, you get plenty of RGB implementation with otherwise a fairly colour neutral black PCB, black and silver colour scheme, and that's going to make this board look nice and in place in pretty much any system that you want to chuck it into. Overall, really nice board, no issues with it, good overclocking, you can't really ask for too much more. Moving on to the memory in this build, and it's another component that makes you go, oh my god, this exists. This is Adata's Spectrix D80, and this memory is special because it's water cooled. Now, hold your horses, don't panic. You don't connect this up to some elaborate water cooling loop. It isn't actively cooled, so to speak. Instead, it utilises a liquid heatsink at the top for the more effective and efficient transfer of heat that allows for fast clock speeds of 3600 MHz out of the box, with further overclocking leverage for even faster speeds and even better gaming performance. For the storage configuration in this build, it would be easy to say, you know what, 4TB SSD, shove it in, set it and forget about it. But it's simply not a practical solution. Even with a build of this magnitude and this price point, I'd still recommend a separate hard drive and SSD. A 2TB Seagate Barracuda hard drive is going to be more than good enough for 90% of people out there. Plenty of room for your movies, music, Steam and Origin libraries. You can of course add more hard drives in later on down the line for easy expandable mass storage, or if you know you're a bit storage hungry, pick up a 3 or 4TB drive from the outset. For the fast SSD storage in this build, here's one I prepared earlier. This is ADATA's XPG SX8200 Pro. Using the NVMe 1.3 standard and plugging in via your motherboard's M.2 slot, it bypasses the speed limitations and bottlenecking you would soon discover if you use the SATA interface. It also comes with a nice heatsink and discrete cover, is easy to install with both the data and power running through that same connector. It also isn't too badly priced, and I'll link it in the description below, both the 256GB and 512GB variants, depending on just how much fast storage you are indeed after. For the next part in this build, the graphics card, this is the one you've all been waiting for. It is insane. The MSI RTX 2080Ti Gaming X Trio sits at the top of their lineup with 3 fans, a load of RGB, and quite possibly the best looking GPU backplate I have ever seen. With 2 6+2 pin and a further 6 pin GPU power connector, it is just a beast. It's mightily expensive, but it finally makes 4K gaming at 60 FPS and high settings feasible. Design-wise, it looks stunning, and the 11GB frame buffer allows you to crank textures and anti-aliasing and reflections to the very max. Furthermore, we should soon start to see the real impact of Nvidia's ray tracing technology in real-world titles as they begin to come to fruition. All in all, this graphics card, it isn't cheap and it isn't an easy pill to swallow, but if you're after the best of the best in terms of GPU gaming performance in 2018 and 2019, this is the card to go for. Moving on to the case in this build, kind of the penultimate main part here, I selected Cooler Master's H500M. It would be easy for the RTX 2080Ti or i7 9700K to really steal the show with this build, but this case, it's an incredible piece of work. It's not been out all that long, and with dual 200mm addressable RGB fans up front, with 4 USB 3 ports and a 3.1 Gen 2 Type-C port, with 10 GB/s of throughput, it has all the mod cons. Vertical and horizontal GPU mounting options give you true flexibility, with a power supply shield that is superbly designed and dual tempered glass panels. Cooler Master also kindly include a replacement glass panel for the front, so if you aren't quite so fussed about airflow and more about aesthetics, you've got options in that regard. Cable management is utterly spot on, radiator mounting support that works at both the front and the top, and it just ticks so many boxes I can't recommend it enough. The only thing I did tweak with this case is I did pop a 140mm Cooler Master addressable RGB fan in the back to make the whole build as RGB as possible, but all in all I think this chassis looks stunning. For the final part in this build for the power supply, this one's not quite as interesting but is very important. It's Cooler Master's V750. With an 80+ gold certification, it's super efficient, and the fully modular interface means you only plug in the cables you need to. Talking of cables, they are all black, which is really nice to keep your build aesthetic nice and neutral and nice and minimal. With that being said, I did pick up some really nice sleeved cable extensions from Silverstone on Amazon. They're universal and fit on the ends of any power supply cables and can really add a whole another dynamic to your build. I will link them in the description below, but they're by no means necessary. Finally, the power supply features a semi-fanless mode, which means that the fan won't spin under low loads and utilizations to keep your build's kind of noise output as low as is possible. But I think just about wraps it up for today's video. If you enjoyed this build, smash that like button and get subscribed and join the Geeka fam. Hit me up on Instagram, it's at GeekaWhat, if you would like to see a behind the scenes sneak peek and all that good stuff. As always though, we'll see you in the next GeekaWhat video.